Alright, now for part 4 of my video, I'm going to show you how I made these 3D like comic book Rhino cupcakes. Now for the cupcake, again, you can use whatever you want. I use still a strawberry streusel cupcake. The only thing that I would recommend you do is use a black cupcake liner just so that the colors match. Now before we get started, I kind of wanted to point out a few things before we continue. So this is the comic book illustration where I got the inspiration to do my Rhino cupcakes. Now basically I just resized this on Word or Paint, and then once I printed it out and it looked good in proportion to my cupcake, I cut the face of the Rhino out. And then where the face is, I also cut that face out because this is going to be our guide when we use the fondant to cut the face out. Now first we'll start off with frosting. Basically with the frosting I just put a dot of black icing color to make the frosting gray. Now with the cupcake swirl, I just basically do a simple cupcake swirl on top. So next I'm going to roll out some gray fondant out, and that comic book illustration, that guide that I was telling you about in the beginning of the video, I'm basically going to use that guide to cut out my face. And then you also want to make sure that you cut the face out because you'll also go ahead and cut that face out. We'll go ahead and we'll put the face a little bit later on. Next I get a brush and I dab some water onto where I want the horn to be. I've already molded out a horn and I basically just stick it on top of the fondant and then mold it with my fingers as I go. Then I'm going to go ahead and mold out another horn. This one's going to be a little bit smaller because it's going to be placed right behind that first horn. Now kind of just to explain how I did the horn, I basically just tapped that on top of my counter to create the base, and then I molded it into a triangle, and then I went from there and molded it to look more like a horn. So now we're going to work on the face, and with the face what I did was I rolled out some tan fondant, and then the face I basically cut that out from the original Rhino illustration, and I'm going to use that as my guide. Now I don't cut it to the exact shape. I leave a little extra left over because it's going to act as some sort of lip to attach itself to when we apply it underneath the Rhino face. Next what I do is I basically take the face from the illustration cutout and I put that underneath some wax or parchment paper, and I trace out the lines of the face. Now if you can eye it and just draw the face on, good for you, but I don't want to mess it up. So just to be safe, I use a non-toxic pencil or a number 2 pencil. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a black edible marker and basically just draw streaks of lines across the edge of the horn. And I do this so that the horn or the face looks more like it came out of a comic book. I also draw lines on the forehead, so I start by drawing some vertical lines across the forehead, and then I draw the lines horizontally after that. Then I continue to draw the rhino eyes on the face, and then also drawing some lines around the face. Next, I'm going to go ahead and get one of my face cutouts. I'm going to go ahead and get that wax paper in which I drew the face on and basically transfer that image on top of my fondant. So just so it looks perfect and I don't mess up on the face, then I go in with my edible marker and I start drawing out the face. And I really recommend that you use gum paste for this project because gum paste dries and gets really hard. It's a lot easier to use your edible marker and draw out any lines or do those comic book lines on the rhino's face. It's just a lot easier. I tried it with fondant, and fondant, even if you leave it out to get dry, with you manipulating it with your hands and the heat coming from your hands, it does tend to get soft, and it with the marker it just doesn't work. Next, I'm going to get my brush with some water and put that around the face. I'm going to take my rhino head and place that right on top of my face. I press down firmly just to make sure that it sticks to the gum paste. Once it's dried for a couple of minutes, then I go ahead and I take my rhino head and place that right on top of the frosting. And there you have it. So with these, I try to follow the illustration as closely as I could to make it look like it's coming out of a comic book. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more like this, please subscribe.